Right, hello and welcome to Korea. We are here today driving a kind of long expected and really interesting vehicle. It's this, the Kia PV5. It's coming to New Zealand, they're saying Q1 next year, initially in cargo form, but hopefully, eventually, we'll get this passenger version as well because it is really darn cool. Let's go have a look at some of the details. Right, so this is a van. Well, a van slash people mover, I guess. It is very much in a similar size frame to the Volkswagen ID Buzz, and I will put the measurement comparison in the corner there. But it's a very unique design compared to other vans out there. It's very clean sheet. It does have a little bit of a bonnet in the front here. There's no frunk under there, just all the electrical gubbins for the front electric motor. Only front at the moment, but we'll talk about that more later. Now up here we have the charging port, 150 kilowatt DC charging, 11 kilowatt AC. Again, we'll talk about the consequences of that later on when we're on the road. Down here, these slats open to allow more air in and out of the vehicle. This van is very, very aerodynamic for a van. 0.29 CD. Driving lights up here, but the actual headlights tucked in down there. Kind of interesting design. This bonnet is composite. The actual van itself is quite clever in how it does weight. It's not that heavy compared to other vans out. Now, if we come around the side here, and we're going to go on this side rather than that side because this is left-hand drive. So we'll drive on this side. We have the wheels, 16-inch wheels. They are alloys on this particular one, but also on the Cargo. We don't know what we're going to get in New Zealand yet. You can get steels with hubcaps, but all aero plastic bits on there to make it and slick and help with that. Interesting contrasting panels. Black panel there. I think that's plastic. Yep. Metal down there. Metal through all the doors. Now, there are a lot of these plastic panels because what they've done with this car is built it in a modular way, in that it has a basic metal standard monocoque chassis, but the panels they can add on to extend it or make it higher are kind of stitched onto it from there, which means it can be on the same production line, very flexible. They can even do a cut-off cab chassis version. So yeah, an interesting process in that. So you can have a high roof up there. This one here, you can have an extended length at the back to make it a little bit longer. Very, very cool, very, very flexible. Now down here we have big plastic cladding to make it look like an SUV because everyone wants to be an SUV these days, even though it's not an SUV. That's that side. Now the doors, they are big. I'll flick around here. Real door handles, nice and chunky for opening. Keyless entry on this one. Give you a nice big wide access into the cabin. We'll look at that in a minute. And the doors at the back sliding, electric on the passenger. I think it's electric optional on the Cargo rather than standard.
Currently you can have the PV5 with 2 or 5 seats. There will be a 3-row option, but it'll only be a 7-seater with 2 seats in the 3rd row. The reason? The vehicle's GVM limits.
If we come around to the back, this is what I was talking about before. This panel covers where they kind of stitch on this rear section to give you the extra long version. They've all got the same wheelbase. It's just the overhang at the back changes. And then you've got doors at the back, trimmed by these big, huge LED lights, and then a big glass window there. And then this one's got an electric tailgate there, a bit slow. On the Cargo ones, you can also have a barn door, which I know are very popular with cargo companies who maybe want the option to only half open the vehicle. But yeah, so that's the door options there, and that's the exterior. I think it looks really good. Very futuristic, very future van. But yeah, let's have a look inside. Now we'll start here at the back with this huge space here. Now, I don't think we'll ever get this 5-seat version in New Zealand. They'll go for the bigger one if they do a passenger version. But still, it's good to see the kind of trimming they've done on this 5-seat one. You know, full plastic cladding in here, storage tubs at the side. You've got rail systems for hanging stuff on. They can take up to 10 kilos on those rails, which is pretty cool. Here we've got a nice little, table showing what you can do. You can sit on the outside and do a little bit of work. Now, these panels up here, I suspect they'd be for potentially USB ports, ventilation in the 7 and the 8-seat model, the 3 model. But in this, they can actually put load hooks in them. They're a rail system. You put little tabs in them and you can load stuff into there. Now, if we pull this forward, under the floor, you have storage back here. So a nice storage tub under there for your tools, various other things. Handy to have that. So that's the boot of the 5-seater we probably won't see, but still pretty good. Let's go have a look at the front. Right, the interior of the PV5, and I really like this car. Now, more storage in the floor. Handy. Got more of that on the passenger side. You've got a big tub down here, tub in the center console, wireless charger there. You've got USB-C and USB-C PD 100 watt charging, great for running a laptop and so forth. More of that rail system tucked up in here, storage up in the dash, but not on the passenger side. Now, most vans I've driven lately have storage right across the dash. This is one area where the PV5 does fall short a little bit. It's lacking a lot of dash storage, which is quite important, I think, to courier drivers and tradies. They want place for their documents, place for their tools, place for their scanner. There's nothing for them here. But there are some other clever tricks for the vehicle in here that we'll get to shortly. Steering wheel, kind of squared off. You've got controls here for all your driving instruments. And I'm going to see if I can power this one on. And we've got this new screen here. Now, the front seats, they are comfortable. And I can say this for both this and the cargo. We've driven both. Electrically adjustable in the passenger version. I'm guessing potentially optional on the cargo. And they are heated, so great for those cool mornings as well. But the key thing is just so comfortable, so adjustable, plenty of space. The driving position is excellent. You've got an armrest on the driver's side, no armrest on the passenger side, which I really missed when I was sitting in the passenger side, and I actually ended up stealing the driver's armrest quite a bit. But otherwise, this is an interior beyond a van. I think this is almost like an SUV level interior, certainly in the front and from the perspective of fit and finish. That was in the back. Right, the back of the PV5, and this is the 5-seater version, so we can't exactly guarantee that this is exactly the format we're going to get when it comes to New Zealand, but it's going to be pretty close. If we jump in, this row here is tilt adjustable. Excellent. I'm not sure about slide adjustable, maybe on this model, but hopefully on the 8-seater. Though one thing I would note is that the split in the seat for people to get into the rear is on this side, and I hope for right-hand drive markets, they do switch that over. Now, you've got all the touches you get in other Kias here that we really like. I'm going to close the door because leaf blower while people are filming. Anyway, so the door is electric. You have a window in it, a little bit of ventilation, but it's not electric. So, you know, if the kids open it, they won't close it, you're in trouble. You've got a button there to open and close the doors. Big chunky grab handles, which is great. Handle up there as well, lighting in the roof. Now over here, we have another one of these load mounts that you can put something into, hang 2 kilos off that one. You have vehicle to load. The car has multiple vehicle to load ports. This one here is 250 volt, 16 amps, so you can run some grunty stuff in here, including the Ninja outdoor wood fire smoker that we gave away recently as a subscriber prize. Just saying. You got a little bit of a rest there, I guess, for putting feet, ventilation on the floor, USB-C ports up in the seat, pockets. Yeah, for a van, it's pretty good. Plenty of room. I could sit here all day. Super comfy. It's just gonna be interesting to see what the sizing is like when they do go an 8-seater. Anyway, that is the passenger version. Let's take a quick look at the cargo version. Look, over here now by the PV5 cargo, and this is the one that will be coming to New Zealand first, though maybe not in that spec. I'll put up on screen the more basic spec that potentially we might get first. We don't know. Kia New Zealand is still working things out, still hasn't told us. Why are they going to do a cargo before the passenger? It's really logical. The market for electric vans in New Zealand is still pretty small. The market for electric people movers in New Zealand is even smaller, kind of tiny. So this is going to be probably their big seller initially until people work out that that is an awesome family car, or at least I think it is. Anyway, so pretty much the same vehicle from the outside, except depending on what trim you get, might get steel wheels, all that kind of thing. When you get inside, there is a little bit of a difference. And I'm going to open up the door here for my cameraman to swing in and just have a quick look. You get manual seats, a more hard-wearing black upholstery, and yeah, but otherwise pretty much the same, just muted colors and finishes. Now, if we come around to the back, and it's going to open perfectly this time, we have the cargo. Now I'm going to put the dimensions up on here on the screen because they are very technical and beyond what I can tear it out to you in a few seconds. But a nice box back here, not the squarest of boxes, which is, well, these are pretty square, but the actual van itself. And I know that's very important to freight customers, but it's reasonably finished, and they have put some thought into how it works. They've got all sorts of accessories like rail systems that run around the van. They're actually covered up in this van, but lots of ports and so forth for putting accessories into. And I'm going to confirm, but I believe Sortimo has fitments for this vehicle. For you trade guys out there, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. That can go in there. Now, if we come around to the back, you can have dual doors. It's got dual doors on each side. You can have electric doors, and work our way through these lovely laid out crates. The back floor itself isn't flat either. You can option a flat floor that goes in there and gives you storage underneath, but it's an interesting thing that the way they've laid that out. But I actually think it's a bit of a false negative what we're seeing there, and that by having that there, the actual floor itself is very, very low. Like getting into most vans, it's quite a step up. It's literally that into there. And the sacrifice is that you have those slightly higher floor spaces there. You've also got vehicle to load in the back. You've got the option to have all this protection around the sides of the vehicle. So yeah, it's a difficult load box to judge, simply because they have given you a somewhat not square space, but they've also not kind of fake lined it to make it a square box. They've given you access to all that, and I do think that low floor, particularly for lifting things in and out, is going to be really, really handy. Would it be nice to have a higher roof? Yes, and of course you can have one. You just have to order it from your dealership when the time comes. And yeah, there is more vehicle to load back there. Again, another 250 volt 16 amp plug, and that's good. That means you can run some beastie stuff. There are commercials out there with vehicle to load in the back, but often it's only a few hundred watts, if you take the exception of the Radara, the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid, and the BYD Shark. But this one has proper beastie vehicle to load.
Featuring a front-wheel drive motor producing 120 kilowatts and 250 newton meters. 3 batteries on offer, starting with a 43.3 kilowatt-hour LFP unit, followed by a 51.5 kilowatt-hour NCM unit, and a 71.2 kilowatt-hour NCM unit, likely the only battery New Zealand will see.
Right, so we are out driving the PV5, and we're starting off wonderfully in Korean traffic. But that's okay, because this is actually a really comfortable vehicle to be in, particularly for a van. I know we're driving the passenger version, which may be giving us a little more room backwards than in the cargo version. But look, this is very car-like. The seats are incredibly comfortable, ventilated on this model and heated. Lovely. Steering wheel, very similar to what we've seen on things like the EV5 and the EV9, kind of squared off. We've got this squared binnacle in the middle, drive mode function here. No sports mode, just eco and a few other ones, normal, blah, blah, whatever. We have controls for everything up on the steering wheel over here, and a screen in front of you about 7 inches. All the spec you're going to want to need, including your efficiency, your range. I do love how Kia gives you the minimum and the maximum potential range from the vehicle alongside the average, or what it's kind of guessing. So super handy to have that there. We're showing 278 k's of range on 61%, so it shows that those WLTP figures are very real in this car. If not, I think almost, if you run the maths on that, we could possibly go a bit further than they claim. So super good from that perspective. Now we have the typical Kia drive controller down here. I've said before in previous videos that I'm not a big fan of this in right-hand drive cars, but you can see how it works when you get into a left-hand drive market vehicle, but still it's there. So car on and off, drive, neutral, reverse, park, that kind of stuff. Now this is reach and tilt adjustable, not always a given on a van or even all commercials for that matter. You got a park brake down there. The cup holder situation is actually, I would think, not that good for a van, in that there's nothing immediately around you here. You've got to go that set there in the middle. I guess it's there, it's not too handy, but I'm used to having something in vans up a bit higher where it can be seen. You can keep an eye on your coffee and make sure your apprentice isn't stealing it. If we come through the center here, we have this big screen here. Now, this does look a little bit different to other Kia systems in that this is a Android Auto OS based system, so Android based. And that's been done for a reason, in that it means that companies that are putting these out in fleets can develop or utilize commercial versions of apps that do various things. So you might have something that, say if this was an Uber van, you could run Uber on the screen. If this was a courier company, they could have their dispatch system showing on that screen. It also has the capability to run digital switches for hardware. So you can put, I believe, up to 6 different software buttons in there to run things like light on the roof, chiller systems at the back, if this was the van version, all sorts of cool stuff. Now, I've seen this before. Ford is very big on this in the e-Transit. I haven't seen it many other places before, so that's really cool that they've gone to the extent of building that into the vehicle's operating system. But other than that, it's a pretty cool system. As I said, looks a bit different to the other Kia one, but you've got quick shortcuts here for your climate. You can go into a full climate system, various apps. You've actually got a browser there, and I believe you better add apps in the future. There's some music streaming ones, that kind of thing here as well. There's also a pet mode. Now, I would never recommend leaving your pet in a car, regardless of whether it's got air conditioning or not, but you can do that, and it has a very Tesla-like, my pet is okay, he's sitting at 24 degrees, screen that pops up. I think they should have that for husbands, so wives can go shopping and leave their husbands in the car. We're quite happy here with some air conditioning, our phone, flicking through reels, so let's not call it pet mode, it could be husband mode as well. Anyway, great maps in there, yeah, all the usual stuff. It's showing directions there for where we're going to go. Super impressed with that system, and it's a pretty good reach. It's actually not a bad size to go. Really nice, sensitive, high-def screen. Yeah, good system in there. Buttons here for the electric doors in the passenger variant, all the camera controls, that kind of thing. We also have charging. We've got wireless charging down there and 100-watt USB charging. Now, why is that important? Well, if you're out on the road all day, you've got a big high-performance phone, you're going to be charging all the time. Or for that matter, you could charge a laptop. And if this was a commercial version, you may even have a laptop mount or a big tablet mount there for various instructions or work stuff. So handy to have that there and not have to wire it. But if you want even more power, we've got vehicle to load in the vehicle, including a port back there. It's easily accessible from the front. So you can run a laptop charger if it's not USB-C. Super well thought out there from a commercial perspective. As far as the drive experience goes, at this stage, front-wheel drive only, though they've shown some concepts that look a bit off-roady, so who knows what we'll get in the future. But that front motor, this is the e-gmp S platform, so very similar to what we've seen in the EV3, EV4. EV5 might be on a version of that platform as well. The numbers aren't massive. 120 kilowatts of power, 250 newton meters of torque, about a 10-second 0 to 100. But it feels a lot faster than you would think. It really is quite a saucy minx for a van. You know, it gets up and goes, plenty of power for overtaking within limits. You know, it's not a sports car. But the handling is what's really stood out to me. This is one of the most car-like vans out there. And I actually think it competes up there with the people movers in regards to handling. Just super stable. The steering's actually got a really nice weight to it, nice and accurate. The brakes feel good. Maybe I'd like a little more bite just at the start, but really good for a van. I would have no issues at doing some really big mileage in this vehicle, and with range like that, you've got the chance to. And when you do hit the end of that range, the charging wise, 150 kilowatt of DC, the charging point is in the nose, which I don't mind. It's going to make it maybe a little bit of a hassle at Tesla charges, but everywhere else, it's going to be absolutely perfect. And 11 kilowatts of AC charge. You've got full scheduling in the system there as well, so you can do all sorts of tricky things. I think 11 kilowatt AC is important. I actually would have thought 22 might have been good, because that would give the potential for, say, courier bases and that kind of stuff with the commercial van. I know FedEx in Auckland runs a fleet of electric vans. Well, they can charge while they're being loaded. And of course, having AC there is going to be a lower install cost than having to put DC chargers in at the base. But still, I think those charging specs are pretty solid. You also have app connectivity for tracking that charging, all those things, but it does stop short of being a full Bluetooth key, start, run, go, being able to share it between workers. You've got standard keys instead. Now, similarly with that app, means it does have a cell phone connection, and that means you are going to get over-the-air updates, which means the car's always going to be improving itself. And, you know, maybe in the future we'll see Play Store or that kind of thing pop up on this system. Now, safety, all the airbags, they say this is going to be a 4-star Euro NCAP vehicle. Be interesting to see what it does when it comes to ANCAP, if they test it, because they don't tend to test vans frequently. So it's got and it's actually driving on it at the moment. It does have a full adaptive cruise control system, and I'm going to put that on now. Set that up to a slightly higher speed. Stop ADAS, so there you go, adaptive cruise control. Lane keep, kind of auto steer kind of setup, and it's a really good one. I'm going to activate it now. I can pretty much take my hands off the wheel, and it does a really good job of steering a lane even at speed. Now, I'm keeping my hands here, I'm not being unsafe, I did it just to test the system. But for a van, this is the best lane keeping system I've experienced. It does a really good job. It's not FSD, but it certainly will take some of that driving load off and hopefully keep, if you're a courier fleet owner or something, keep some of your drivers a little bit out of trouble. Adaptive cruise control, great way to stop them getting speed camera tickets by having them, just let the car do the driving for them. So the Kia PV5, I love this vehicle. I think Kia actually maybe oversold their plans for this, and I think there's a lot more to come from this vehicle. Things like the easy swap body system that we've reported on before, the potential for a truck. There's so much more they can do with this platform, and that's why I'm going to look at it. This is more than just a single product at this point. This is a platform that is coming. Now, the big question for New Zealand is how much it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be a cheap vehicle. I think they're going to stick with that big battery option. I think we're going to be reasonably well spec'd. But I think it's going to be worth it. You imagine the amount of fuel you save when you're running around in a courier van all day by going with something like this, and also the image it gives. And I think it's going to be quite popular, but it is a very niche market. But anyway, we'll confirm that when it comes to New Zealand and we give it a full test. Don't forget, like and subscribe down below for more great things in electric vans from us here.